I've never forgotten that experience of it, like, man, my mindset toward a difficult circumstance is everything. Either
Yeah.
I'm a drama triangle villain victim, or I'm an agent.
Yeah.
In that case, he crushed it.
This is the Organizational Health Advantage podcast with Keith Hadley and James Felton, principal consultants at Table Group. They're in the business of coaching leaders to build strategic focus and cultural alignment that leads to amazing results. Welcome to the Org Health Advantage.
All right. We are back. Keith, it's good to see you. How are you doing, man?
Nice to see you too, James. Doing great.
Okay. Today we are talking about the mindset shift between victim and agent.
Yes. This, James, is, I feel like, an overdue topic because it is something that we think about and talk about all the time. And we've never done it here. But how would you tee it up?
Well, I would say it's we see some common things in offsites, and it could fall into what's called the drama triangle, where somebody is the victim of something, at the effect of something or someone.
Yep.
Or other people might be the villain, where they are blaming people on the team or blaming things that are out of their control.
Yeah.
And then somebody else might come in and try to play the hero and provide temporary relief.
Right.
And so, and we can fall into, some of that as well as consultants in the offsite, and not let people really deal with reality. And when they are in that drama triangle, they are trying to take less than 100%, or maybe even sometimes more than 100% of their responsibility.
Yeah. This is going to be a bunch of R words at the same time, but I like how you said that it's reality. Like, what is our current reality, our circumstances that we're in? We often see these like recycling repeated patterns of behavior on teams.
Yeah.
And one of those patterns is that the team is having an emotional reaction.
Yes.
As opposed to a rational response to what's happening. And that mindset shift that we're trying to often promote is stepping back and saying, like, look, okay, we see what's happening. We see the reality that you're in. But what can we do about it? We can complain about it.
Right.
We can blame others, or we could step up and be an agent of change.
Right.
And we'll often draw Stephen Covey's circle of, concern, influence, circle of control and influence and concern. This idea that there's lots of stuff we're concerned about or are concerning to us, like what's happening in the world of technology, or what our competitors are doing, or what's happening in the broader world, or what that other department is doing. And we could complain all day long about that. Or we could kind of lean more into being an agent of change and say, well, what is it that we actually have influence over? What could we control right here in this room around this table and do something about this, change our circumstances? We're not the helpless victims of others. We are potentially agents of change.
Right. And we would, we see that drama triangle, and again, like behaviors of others, in strategic circumstances. It can play out in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And what we're really looking for is to go above the line and get curious. The drama triangle would for sure be below the line, where we are maybe trying to take care of our insecurities, or maybe mask our insecurities is maybe a better way to say it, around maybe things we don't know, or maybe things we haven't accomplished, or maybe things where we've fallen short.
So we get defensive. We repeat ourselves.
Defensive.
Try to convince others.
Yeah.
So there's like a smoke screen for our own fragile egos.
Exactly. And so we really want to get above the line, which would be open-minded, curious, focused on learning, focused on doing what's best for the organization.
Yeah.
And so, we want to try to play a third party, unbiased, objective viewpoint in
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
really, like, what is in our control?
Hmm.
Where can we take 100% responsibility for our part in this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and get out of victimhood or villain or the hero trying to provide temporary relief.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I do actually want, James, you're the one that put the drama triangle concept on my radar screen. And when I heard it, I thought, oh, this is so good because it gives us just the right vocabulary. Let me tee this up with a bit of a story.
Yeah,
These days, we're in lots of offsites with leadership team, executive teams that are facing off to really big technical challenges, technology change challenges with AI. And
totally.
we see two very different mindsets toward their circumstances. I was with the team recently, and it was the CTO's team of a big organization, and this is actually even before the AI revolution hit, hardcore.
Yeah,
But already this team, after in a 2-day offsite, after a while, I found myself getting so frustrated because it was one of these yeah but conversations. Like no matter what anybody else said, somebody had a yeah but, and it was always yeah but they, yeah but them, and yeah but the partners haven't given us the budget, yeah but we don't have clarity. And so after a while, I just went up to a whiteboard and I said, it just sounds like this is an impossibility. Like we see our circumstances and our vision of the future is it's impossible.
yeah,
We're playing a role in the drama triangle, right? This is a lost cause. Um, no good is going to happen, and it's actually we're heroing each other in that it's just sort of fun to complain about the world and about the leaders of the company, because then we don't have to actually do anything meaningful. But what we were realizing is like if we continue down this path, we're gonna lead. It just leads to paralysis and
yeah,
isolation and misery. You know,
yeah,
like and I was painting that picture, and like some of the folks on the team started to get it a little bit. We said, okay, the other side is like we could look at our future instead of seeing it as an impossibility. Let's look at it as a challenge. Like we're agents here. Like, well, what do we need? If we could get a budget, how much would we ask for and how would we spend it? And can we do anything to influence that? And like guys, let's embark on an adventure. Let's go somewhere and do something about our circumstances. Let's paint a picture of the future that is for sure challenging, but it's like an adventure. Like let's get to the North Pole together, and it leads to action, collaboration, joy. Like let's go out there and make something happen. So that was the setting. Now I wish I could say that the team saw that and was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening. They didn't, but they did start to move down that continuum away from the drama triangle more into the world of like, we're agents of our own future. We're agents of our own
right,
destiny. Let's do something proactive.
right.
So, with that as a tee up, describe those three roles, or kind of do a little bit of a deep dive with the drama triangle, because it took me 2 or 3 passes to understand it.
Yeah, well, so I first heard it with the Conscious Leadership Group, and they got it from a couple, Catherine and Gay Hendricks, and they got it from a guy named Stephen Cartman who developed it back in like 1968. Um,
So it's
and
so it's older than me.
yeah, just barely. Um, no, just kidding. Um, but it's I think it's really good, and so people can play one of three roles, and the first is the victim, which is at the effect of others,
Mm,
or at the effect of circumstances, disempowered,
This
And
is
so
happening to me.
it's happening to me. And so, like, poor me, I would be able to do this if it weren't for that and that,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit of like whining and complaining, you know,
And
it has
James, I'll
that kind
interrupt
of
you. We
tone
will
there.
often in offsites ask the question like, what are the us's and them's around here?
Yeah.
And that's a high power question where teams will right away. So it's, oh yeah, it's product versus marketing. It's engineering versus ops. It's sales versus, ops or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a
And
good way of clue is to, if you're playing the victim, then there's a them somewhere and they are doing things to us.
yeah, and I would also say that's true for the blame part of
Mm,
the triangle too.
yep.
There's I would be doing better in sales if ops would actually get their act together,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know. And so I'm a little bit of a victim there, but I'm also
Yep.
blaming ops for my circumstance.
Yep.
And so the blame is just that. Like, they should be doing this. They are the reason. You are the reason. And sometimes, quite honestly, we could blame ourselves. I should have done this. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
I should be earning more money. I should be higher up in the organization.
Right.
And so there's a lot of us versus them in both the victim and the villain.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
villain
And
again is all about blame.
this is the irony that we've seen, and this is where this model really helped me, is that we will often be talking to a leader of a team who will describe his circumstances as though he is the victim of
Yes.
his team.
Yes.
And we're like, well, wait a minute. Like, so wait, you would be a much better leader if you had better people on your team, if they
Yes.
had better capabilities, if they would follow through and do what they said, if they would work harder, if they would work together, if they would collaborate, if they would talk more in meetings and talk less. It's like, and after a while, we're like, okay, time out. Like we're talking about your team, right? Like the team you hired, the team you meet with every week, the team you do one-on-ones with, like these folks whose performance reviews you've done year after year, like that's the team we're talking about. Okay. And you're the victim of this. So we
Yeah.
get a little sarcastic. Hopefully we don't come across that way to them in the moment, but we can help them point out, like, you might be falling into this, like, or go from the victim to the villain, which is like they start blaming themselves. All of that takes them away from where they should go, which is like, all right, just take full responsibility
Yeah.
for what you can be doing here and make sure others take full responsibility for what they can be doing.
100% responsibility for hiring those people, for
Yep.
a lack of clarity in your weekly meetings or one-on-one meetings around the behaviors you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
100% responsibility for maybe not affirming the behaviors you want when you see them. So people go like, I
Yep.
thought you wanted this, but you're not affirming it. So why am I doing it? You know,
Yep.
all of that.
For
Eh,
running good meetings
yeah, 100%
or
responsibility for
holding
not
people
running good
accountable.
meetings. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And then the third part of that drama triangle is the hero.
Mm.
And the really key point here is that the hero provides temporary relief.
Mm-hmm.
And so it could be, a peer comes to you and vents about something. It could be, gosh, I would be doing better if this wasn't happening, or they're blaming me again, those kind of things. And we sit there and listen. And we maybe even affirm what they're saying. And we
Mm-hmm.
put it under the guides of like, oh, I'm going to be a good friend or a good teammate and let them do this. But
Mm-hmm.
it's at the expense of them taking full responsibility for their part in this.
I feel a little bit justified here because I'm a terrible listener. I've been given that feedback so many times of like, I'm supposed to just hang in there a lot longer and like listen and affirm and be like, gosh, that must be tough. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really too bad. That's really miserable. And I'm just really bad at that. But there is and I need to work on that. But there is a part of what you're saying that there actually is a moment as you're listening where you would say like, wow, that is really tough, but rather than just provide temporary relief, let me ask a question like, so what could you do?
Yeah.
Like if you could take one action, what action would that be? Or,
Yeah.
now we're getting into like being a consultant and not just a listener only, which, so I feel a little justified, but I know I have work to do.
Well, the hero could be the boss who lets
Yeah,
triangulation happen on the team.
totally.
Somebody on your team comes and complains to you about somebody else,
Right.
and you listen to it. You maybe even say you're going to deal with it. You go and have a conversation with that person, that other person. You try to coach that other person based on the first person's feedback. And now what we're doing is teaching people to come to the leader with issues instead of going to each other.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Or we can easily play that part ourselves. I
yes,
have
yeah,
often stepped in when I should be a consultant to my clients, but I've been a hero to them, where I will listen and empathize, and then they'll even say like, so hey, if this comes up in the offsite, would you? It's like, okay, it feels good to know what to do and how to handle that, but a better answer would be say, well, if this comes up in the offsite, let's role play through what you would say, leader,
yes,
to get this back on track. How would
yes,
you handle that?
yes,
What would you say to that person?
yeah.
um,
And by the way, it feels good for us to do that.
yeah,
Like
it
we
is.
are
I kind of
affirmed.
like being the hero.
Yeah, we are affirmed that we, know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the end of the day, we are preventing them from becoming a better leader. When we go
Hmm.
in and do their work for them, we are preventing their
Right.
growth. And,
Right. Right.
a personal story on this real quick, Keith, was, as you know, I got divorced and remarried. I had 2 kids at the time and still have 2 kids. And, and
At that
there would
time and
be,
now.
yes, of course, there would be tension between my 2 daughters and my new wife. Like, my wife, Rebecca, would parent in a style that was different from mine and different from what my daughters were used to. And I would jump in and try to keep the peace and calm everything down. And, like, hey, Rebecca, maybe you should think about this. Hey, girls, in a separate conversation, hey, girls, maybe you should think about this. And I wish I had this model back then because what I realized was I was slowing their relationship from developing. Like
Yeah.
they had to work through that stuff together. And what I also noticed was when I was out of town, they got along better. They would actually get through their issues quicker without me around
Right.
than with
Right.
me around. I was like,
Yeah.
that hurts. But at the end of the day, it was like some self-reflection. I for sure was playing the hero there
Yeah.
and trying to
Yeah.
take more responsibility than I needed to. I wasn't
Yeah.
involved. Like, why am I taking any responsibility? You know? Um,
That's a great story, and I think I can relate to that. And I was thinking, even in our work with clients in an offsite, for example, we will often, you know, we'll see these patterns because there's very common team dynamic patterns, and we will sometimes go into facilitator mode
yeah,
where we're trying to like manage the team around or through its patterns. And when I mean patterns, I'm not trying to be all like cryptic about it. It's like patterns of like, two people doing most of the talking, or
yes,
2 or 3 people not saying anything at all, or somebody getting defensive or having a really good conversation. And then there's often a pattern of like, okay, let's just bounce to the next topic before we really, ratify what was the decision,
yeah,
or make it clear. Or like, frankly, call somebody out on some poor behavior. Things as innocent as like not coming back from breaks on time to like losing your temper and shouting.
yes,
And
yes,
so we will often, because we see those patterns and we're pretty good facilitators, we'll often step up and just facilitate through it, temporarily helping the team stay productive. But what we've learned to do on our best days is to say, hey, time out. I'm observing this pattern. Let me just name the pattern. And I'm just curious, like, What do you all want to do about that?
Yes.
Or just we can be a little bit more directive to the leader and say, leader, what is this? Is this what you want? Or even at our best, I think we've done things like to say, hey, just before we bounce to the next topic, that last topic took 45 minutes. How was that for you? Did that feel productive? And then somebody will say, yeah, that was pretty good. And somebody's like, I feel like we could have gotten through it faster. Okay, well, what could we do? So to not play into the drama triangle as a consultant is to help the team identify its own patterns and just
Yeah.
kind of force the question of like, how do you want to change those patterns? What would be the expectations we've had of each other? Let's write that stuff down. Now let's, see if we can't go on to the next topic and as a team start policing these things yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's really the place that the person who wants to be the hero or falls
Mm-hmm.
into hero.
Yep.
And there are certain people that might do it. There's certain roles that might do it. Like an HR person might sometimes be the hero and listen to everything. But we need to coach,
Right.
and,
So wait, say that again. So don't be a hero, be a coach.
the hero is coming in to solve a particular situation, to provide temporary relief, but not long-term coaching, not developing, not, like all of this is a long game.
Right.
The relationship my wife has with our daughters, that's a long game. I was coming in to like keep the peace in that moment,
Yeah.
but I wasn't letting them work their stuff out and develop a relationship.
That's really helpful, right? It's not about let's have a great Saturday morning. It's like let's play the long game, or let's not have in an offsite. Let's not just have a good topic for
Yeah,
15 minutes. Like let's actually help this team address some of its patterns. So I
right.
wonder if there's a don't be a hero, be a coach. I wonder if there's like don't be either the villain or the victim. Be an agent.
Yes.
I used to not quite understand what that word agency meant. I think it comes from one of the social sciences, but I had to like ask around like when I've heard people say agency or being agent, and it really is um, it's a shorthand word for saying um, you can take action. There's something that you can do to control or to influence what happens next. So like step up and live into your responsibility.
Yeah. I
And
I
really
think of ownership.
yeah. Yeah, ownership, sure.
Own your part. Own your 100% part in this.
Yep. Own your part. We have an article we wrote some time ago about how to have a hard conversation or a difficult conversation. And
Yeah.
one of the things that is like really powerful for leaders, if you have to have a kind of a confrontation with somebody on the team who's not performing or behaving badly, even as you give them that feedback, you can own your part. And it might be
Yes.
something like, hey, I probably haven't been as clear as I needed to be. Here's the expectation. Or
Yes.
like, I probably should have brought this up sooner because I've seen it several times and I haven't said anything to you, and that's on me. So I'm going to
Yes.
own my part. And then here's the part I need you to own because that's your part to own.
Yes.
So even as you wish for somebody else to change their behavior, which would be sort of like the villain victim thing, you can own the part that you've played in maybe creating the circumstances or not preventing the circumstances that
Yeah.
have now put this team in a dysfunctional pattern.
Yeah.
So that it's I like I'm not 100% responsible for everything, but I am 100% responsible for the part that I play. So whatever
Right.
is my responsibility, I'm 100%. I need to take 100% ownership of that.
Right. Right. And I think I think this all comes back to vulnerability-based trust
Yep.
in that we need that safety to be
Hmm.
vulnerable around, "This is my 100%, and
Yeah.
I didn't live it. I didn't own it. I
Yes.
didn't execute on it.
Yeah.
Um, and I
And I
think it's so much easier to play the victim, play the villain,
yeah.
jump in when others are doing that and try to play the hero, and and at the end of the day, this is all about our, like, being okay not knowing the answer, being okay having made a mistake, um, those vulnerabilities, and I think we can, if we go below the line, we get into the drama triangle, that is a place of invulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really good. I think that it can be a leader can model vulnerability by taking ownership for the part they played. Even and in so doing, they don't diminish their influence as a leader. They actually increase it. Even, I mean, just
Yes.
kind of think of like worst case scenarios here. It's like, hey team, I forgot to tell all of you that we
Yes.
have this thing due, and that is
Yes.
100% on me. It was my job, and I blew it. But because I blew it, I now have a really big ask of all of you, and we need to somehow get this, thing out by the end of the week. And so I'm expecting all of you now to do your part. It's like even when you have colossally failed as a leader, if you own it, you actually get a lot of that influence or that ability to ask others to do hard things right back.
Yeah.
If you don't own it, then you have almost no command power to ask people
Yeah.
to do hard things.
Well, and Keith, going back to your example earlier of a leader maybe playing both victim and villain with their,
Mhm.
in regards to the team that they lead, it's like, what are you upset about? What are you complaining about? Well, our meetings suck. Nobody says anything. You know,
Yeah.
it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what's your part in this? You know, have you set an expectation for the behaviors you want? Have you had conversations with them, holding people accountable to it? Have you called it out in the meeting? Have you asked direct questions to people to get them to chime in? Have you affirmed when you see anything that you want, like affirm the behavior, you know? And then you and I had a meeting with a leader recently where this was the topic of conversation, and I said, you might think about just shrinking the team temporarily to the people who actually engage in meetings
Mhm.
and hold the other people out and send a message that way. Like, what are the things that we're going to do differently?
Right.
Like, so that's ownership. Um, and let's think about that versus like the blame or victim mentality
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Rather than continuing to recycle these repeated patterns on team, take ownership, of how do we break this pattern? I
Yeah.
think, I love how you said it all comes back down to vulnerability. We talk about vulnerability based trust all the time as we're like trying to help teams learn how to overcome the 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Right.
And I think another one is that breaking any of this pattern is stepping into discomfort. And we
Yes.
all want to avoid discomfort. We all want to be
Yes.
comfortable. And it seems crazy to think that playing the victim or the villain or the hero is more comfortable, but I think it actually is.
Oh,
Because if
yeah.
I'm the victim, then I don't have to accept blame because
Yeah.
I am at the effect of somebody else, and it's just I can be the victim.
Yes.
Um, Even if I'm the villain and I blame myself, you know, that is, even that's going down a more comfortable route than to
Yes.
say, like, okay, while I do blame myself for part of this, here's what we're going to do to fix it. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. That's stepping back out into discomfort. And
Yes.
it's especially uncomfortable if we're having to break that pattern of stepping in to be the hero and actually stepping in to be the coach and actually be a little bit demanding and a little bit in your face at times and say like, no, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I want the whole team to confront our circumstances with a view towards an outcome that is a challenge and an adventure and not an outcome where we all give ourselves a pass.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
So
being vulnerable, stepping into discomfort.
I mean, I think both of those things are we see it over and over and over and over of people don't want to be vulnerable and they don't want to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And
Right.
they often talk about, well, I'm worried about how they'll react,
Yeah.
but I think it's more about their own discomfort
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being perceived or as difficult or holding people accountable or clear or I just think it's far more about our own vulnerabilities and discomfort than what we admit, and
Yeah.
and we say it's usually about, well, I'm concerned how they'll take it, how they'll respond. It's like, usually
Yeah.
no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Uh,
One
and
one other
so
quick application of this
yeah,
is because you used the word they, it had me think about this is so often the way we use this within organizations is cross-functionally, where
oh
we're
yeah,
trying to
totally,
address some us them dysfunction. And one of the best ways out of the us them dysfunction is to actually get two functions or two people to sit down together and
yes,
actually approach it with a little bit of empathy,
yes,
not through the lens of villain victim, but to say, hey, what do you suppose that other team needs? Like what's a good day look like for them? Why are they doing this work? What do they need to get out of this? Like what makes their job fun? What makes their job frustrating? What are
yeah,
things that we do sometimes to them that gets in their way
yeah,
of being successful? What kind of help would they need from us? So when I see that other department through the lens of empathy and
yeah,
understanding and being curious about them, and I stay above the line, then that breaks the drama triangle
yes,
between functions. And I think that's a really powerful thing to try to break of like, what can I do to make their life easier?
yeah,
Here's an assumption I think every team can make about every other team. And I think it's 90% true is that, hey, that other team is trying to do a good job. These are reasonably smart, reasonably hardworking people who are trying to do a good job. They're trying to win just like we are, and so they do things for reasons that make sense to them. What are those reasons? How can I help them? How could we win together? Like that's just a very different pattern of thinking that
yeah,
breaks the drama triangle,
and they
and
have
it looks at what's
mandates.
possible. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
mandates.
they have
Yeah.
mandates. There's tension between their mandates and our mandates, and so, like, how are
Yep.
we gonna navigate that as opposed
Yep.
but that's that takes, like, going in and understanding their role, their mandates, and then, like, "Oh, wait, maybe the attribution error is in full effect here," of, like, maybe I'm telling myself a story about them that isn't actually true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, now I have to deal with my stuff.
Yep.
How am I creating some of this tension? How am I making this matter worse? Again, going back to that 100% responsibility. And it's just far easier to complain about somebody else. It's far
Yeah.
easier, one, from a time standpoint, and two, like, makes me feel better.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And I can avoid doing hard work.
I can
I
avoid doing hard work and having hard
I want to
conversations and hard introspection.
I want to wrap this up with a quick story, and then
Yeah.
I'll do our three questions. But when I was
Yeah.
in college, a bunch of us were driving down a country road. It was like four cars in a carpool, and every car had like five guys stuffed into it. And the car I was in, driven by John Myers, was all of a sudden had a flat tire. And it's like, so we pull over, and like five of us get out, and we're all standing in a little semicircle looking at the flat tire. And we were all thinking the same things, like, well, somebody ought to do something about that. And the next car pulled up behind us, and out of the driver's seat jumped another one of our friends, Chris Dubois, and he like runs up and he shouts, "Time me!" Or no, he goes, "Stand back, time me!" And we're like, "Okay." And he like changed the car tire in like I don't know 4 minutes. But like his approach was like extreme ownership and excitement of like this is going to be fun. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to beat my record and change this tire faster. Like he was so excited,
Yeah.
and I've never forgotten that experience of it, like man. my mindset toward a difficult circumstance is everything. Either I'm a drama triangle villain victim, or I'm an agent.
Yeah.
In that case, he crushed it.
Yeah.
So
Along those lines, somebody we've talked about in the past, and the author of Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, has a video out there somewhere, and I know Joe Rogan references it with, like, whenever there was a problem that his people came across and they alerted him to it, his first response was like, "Good. Good. Like, we get to own this. Good. We
yeah.
get to try to solve this. Good. We get to learn something," you know? And it
Oh, that's
was,
good. That's great.
and that was your buddy, Chris.
Good.
Like, "Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Good.
I'm gonna jump in here. Not only am I gonna own this, I'm gonna see if
Yeah.
I can beat my record."
Make it a challenge. I know. It's like, oh,
Yes.
there's technology disruption. Good. What are we
Good.
going to learn from this in a year's time?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so here's our wrap up. James,
Yeah.
I think we'd say there's 3 questions, right? So first of all, I think it's a leader's job and a leadership team's job is to define reality. So question 1,
Yes.
how would you define your current reality? Objectively, how would an objective, rational outside person come in and just describe, here's the situation?
Yes. Take emotions out
Second,
of it.
emotions out of it, right?
Yeah.
No blame, just what's the situation we find ourselves in? Second question is, what needs to change? That could be the opportunity at hand or a problem to solve, but let's just be really clear. Like, if this is our current reality, what needs to change?
Yeah.
Third is, what is your full responsibility? What can you do in this moment? What can you control, or what can you influence by doing something, saying something, showing up somewhere? What's your full responsibility? So what's our current reality? What needs to change? What's your responsibility? I think if we can embrace that, we're going to find opportunities to learn, to grow, to change, to develop others, lower stress, get better relationships, better outcomes, all with a different mindset shift.
Yeah. And I think the encouragement to leaders is to be able to think about that objectively, even during tough conversations amongst the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what makes a leader's role so difficult, is having that objectivity while still being passionate about the discussion. So say those one more time, because I might have diminished it. So say it one
The
more time.
questions or the outcomes?
The questions.
Yeah. What's our current reality? What needs to change? What's our responsibility?
Awesome. And with that, we thank you for joining the Org Health Advantage podcast, and we look forward to seeing you or having you listen again on our next podcast. Until then, please share and subscribe. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Org Health Advantage. Your hosts, Keith and James, are helping leaders change the world of work and invite you to share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. For more resources on building stronger teams and organizational health, check out tablegroup.com.